Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the June 7th, 2023 Citizen Advisory Committee meeting. At this time, can you please call roll to establish a quorum, please?
At this time, I am only asking those CAC members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. I want to remind you to please unmute your microphones by pushing the button on the base prior to responding. Ryan Rossi,
Here.
Lily Charlotte Landstrom, Aquanette Tyson Thomas,
There you go. Here.
Kate Layton,
Here.
James Garvin,
Here.
Mark Bruner,
Here.
Ramona Bean, Paula Ryan,
Here.
Jim Knight,
Here.
James Bonfiglio,
Here.
Richard Vassilotti, Sammy Brown.
Here.
The Village of Royal Palm Beach is vacant. Vijay Mishra. Francisco Gill.
Here.
Myron Uman is virtual. Terry Brown. Greg Fagan.
Here.
Belglade and Lake Worth Beach are also vacant. Gwendolyn Lowry,
Yeah.
Albert Richwagon,
Here.
and Wendang.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Are
Yes.
there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, the following members are requesting CAC permission to participate remotely. Myron Uman due to a health-related scheduling conflict, but he's not online.
Okay. Is there anybody else?
Are there any objections to allowing this member to participate remotely? Okay, seeing none.
Sorry, Madam Chair, for the record, Myron's not on the call. He wasn't able to make it.
He's not on the.
He's
call.
not on there. He may, if he can, he's
He
gonna
may,
try to.
okay, so when he logs in, he may,
Yeah.
I
Thank
don't think we have any objection for him to participate remotely. Okay, moving on to item 1C, motion to approve the minutes for May 3rd, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And Madam Chair, just one clarification, on the roster, the attendance sheet on the last page of that. If we marked you as unexcused absence for this last meeting, but you did notify us ahead of time, just let me know afterwards. I'll fix that. We had one correction for Paul Ryan.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Are there any general public comments at this time on the agenda?
No, Madam Chair.
So instructions to, I guess there's no public comment, so I won't read the instructions, but it's virtual. You use the raise hand function and so are there any comments from members or the chair at this time? Okay, Jim?
Yeah, I believe I have to step down on the 5-year road program because I still own a piece of property on Boynton Beach Boulevard and I also need to fill out the conflict form. They're not taking any of the property or anything else, but I thought that was on here today.
For a particular, for the action items.
Correct.
I think we've had similar scenarios to this in the past, and our legal has advised us that you are able to vote on the item.
Fantastic. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Madam Chair, we do have Vijay who has joined us virtually, and so if we're able to also allow or vote on that to allow or not allow.
Okay, does anybody have any objection to allow Vijay to participate remotely? Okay, seeing none. Yeah, welcome Vijay virtual. Anybody else have any, are there any other member comments at this time? All right, Jim, do you have anything else to add? Okay. Okay, perfect. Are there any public comments on this? Actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. We're moving to the CAC liaison report, please.
Sure, we'll pull up on the screen here in a second. And so just a few items. The first one is National Dump the Pump Day. So this is going to be on June 15th, but there's additional things going on throughout the month of June. But on from June 10th to 17th, Palm Tran has a promo code of Try Transit. So if you download their app and put in the promo code Try Transit, you can ride for, you have a $5 voucher to ride for free. And then there's other resources on ways to take transit for the month of June at palmbeachtpa.org/transit. The TPA is hosting some walk bike audits throughout the communities. There's going to be 4 of them. I believe they're every Friday in June. These are near schools. And so the last one is also going to be at the new Divergent Diamond interchange down at Glades and Boca. And you can register at palmbeachtpa.org/audits. The bicycle friendly designations applications for both a business designation or a bicycle friendly community applications at the Bike League organization website are up, and those are due June 15th for the designation for businesses, and then August 30th for a bicycle friendly community. The TPA is also a bike friendly business, so we went through this process and we rewarded a silver star. It's pretty good one to look into. So if you have businesses, your own business that wants to pursue that, it's a great designation. Next, if you haven't taken the safety pledge already, we encourage you to do so. Taking a pledge to be a safe driver. You can take it at our website /VisionZero. And then just for anybody who's interested in the sort of federal grants that are out there, there is that US DOT grant navigator tool. And in there right now, there's the Safe Streets for All grant that communities can and cities can apply for, and then also Resilient Protect program. We have a transit survey that's up on our website, and that's for the entire month of June. Sort of also going with that dump to pump theme for the month. We're looking for feedback for transit needs and desires in Palm Beach County. You can complete this informal survey on our website. It's palmbeachtpa.org/transit survey. It's a quick survey. And then lastly, we had a survey that we had for bicycling this past month, and that's one that was throughout the bike month, and we have our results for you. So this is one of those other informal surveys that we did, just get some word out about bicycling, and we had 195 respondents. This was blasted on our social media and our newsletters and other means. On the presentation you see here on this slide says some of the summaries of the results. So again, 195 respondents. Some bigger things that we saw there, 55% of respondents prefer to ride on the road in a separated bicycle lane. So that's pretty, even though this is an informal survey, that was pretty in line with what we see from those nationwide surveys that ask a similar question about types of facilities that people would like to ride in. Many do say that they want to ride in a separated facility away from traffic. And then other interesting one, sort of somber one, is that only 3 respondents of the survey said that they feel safe riding a bicycle in Palm Beach County, right? So still not a safe one for people who feel comfortable on the roadways out there to ride safely. So it's one of our missions here at CPA is to provide a safe and comfortable ride. That's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any public comments on this item?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Are there any member comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to action item 2A, motion to recommend adoption of the TIP amendment number 5, the fiscal year 23 to 27. Andrew?
Okay. So this first one is going to be the amendment for action. And this is the amendment number 5 to our transportation improvement program. So this is the 5th amendment of our current one that we're operating under. So this is fiscal years 2023 to 2027.
How you doing?
And then right after this next action item after this is going to be the adoption of the upcoming TIP. So you're seeing back to back here, the one that's currently adopted that we're having an amendment for. It's going to bring us all the way to the end of September, and then the one that becomes effective October 1st afterwards. So with this one, and this is for all of our amendments, it's only involving the project that is listed within the amendments. This is only involving one project. And what triggers this as an amendment that needs review by the public and by you all, and then final adoption by the governing board, is because it's a large scope and then additional costs associated with that trigger the threshold. So this one's going to be around doubling in costs, and I'll show you that in a second. So the product up for amendment today, this is an FDOT request. And this is the US 1 bridge over the Ermine River. So this is that product. The location of this is just north of North Lake Boulevard and North Palm Beach. Many of you might be familiar with Frigates Bar and Grill right there. So that's the location of this bridge. And what this amendment is adding $10.3 million in costs. So going from about 10.8 in the current tip to $21 million. And this also moves construction from the current fiscal year that we're in, fiscal year 2023, to fiscal year 2024. And then in this slide, we also are providing what the current funding is for the phases within the tip, and then what the proposed phases for the tip. So we have PE, which is the design of the project, preliminary engineering. There's environmental, the ENV. There's the railroads and utility phases, which is the RRU. There's right of way, and then CST is construction. So you'll see the significant increases in the utility phase, RRU, and then also in right of way, and then the increases in construction. So the total amount now is proposed to be 21 million. And then in your backup, was the letter from FDOT DOT. And so they sent a letter with every request, and it highlights some of the significant reasons for this change that are needed for the amendment. And so I'll just highlight a few of those. One is just unit prices overall. So the cost of materials has been going up across the board throughout all projects. Secondly is in their cost estimate originally, this is using a special material on part of the bridge, which has little sort of historical prices in the FDOT system. So that was like an unknown price originally. Those are sort of the two more insignificant ones, but the bigger ones are the additional items of requests from both the South Florida Water Management District and then the Village of North Palm Beach. So the first one from the South Florida Water Management District, the C-17 canal around here, they're requesting dredging of that and to increase the cross section of that, and it's going to dramatically improve flood control for Palm Beach County. So that was what the South Florida Water Management District requested, and they're able to put that in there. And it also requires additional riprap in that area. And then the Village of North Palm Beach requested a temporary modification to the sign and pavement markings during construction of this project. So those two items were also added to this project. So that's why you see the increase in cost, all those items. So that's really what the amendment is just this one project.
Yes, we have a comment, Mark.
Just quickly before comments, I did want to note for the record that Lily Charlotte Landstrom has joined the meeting in person.
Okay, great. Yep, so Mark?
Yeah, I was just curious as to, I know it's over a water management district canal, but I was just curious what the nexus was in terms of, widening and deepening a canal, typically deepening, I would guess. And I'm wondering what the scope of that project was in terms of this bridge, because the bridge itself is, occupies a relatively small amount of the right of way. And I was curious as to how much the dredging and widening might have been. You probably don't know that answer, but I would be curious to see what the expansion of the dredging was in relation to the cross section in the area occupied by the bridge.
That's a good question. I don't know if we have, are any of the product managers on the
No.
on the list there? Okay, well, we can follow up with them.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think I have the same thought when I saw the initial cost difference is that the utilities dollars is and I understand construction costs, but you're using transportation dollars to do maintenance of the existing canal system. So what is that correlation? How does that what's the rational nexus of for to use that kind of transportation dollars to do maintenance, right? Of a canal? If it's maintenance of the structure, yes, but this is maintenance of the canal. James, you have a comment?
Yeah, Andrew, part of my question too is is there any explanation as to why the almost $3 million increase in right of way acquisition? I mean, I know
Yes.
it's not a huge area to work with around there, but like, that's a substantial jump.
Yep, yep. So we had the product manager from FDOT was able to join us at the previous meeting this morning. And the TAC asked those sort of two questions, was related to utilities and then right away. For the right away, it was really just that was the initial estimate, and that was the new right away costs for the acquisition. So when it all said and done, so there wasn't actually any additional. The scope didn't increase the right away cost. So any additional canal widening portion that didn't impact right away costs. From our understanding is it was just sheer increase in costs from the original estimate. And then for the utilities, the 3.5 million, there's electrical poles on the east side of the bridge that they're having to relocate to the west side of the bridge, and to have it fit in their schedule. And for some reason, it also limits their actual construction time if they move that now. So they're moving a lot of those utility poles to the western portion for some reason. And that's why they had this utility cost now.
No, I just, like I said, just doubling the budget. And
Sure. Mhm.
Some things in right of way and dredging a canal, like I don't quite, seems like a lot more than it should be, but all right.
This is not a capacity project because it's a maintenance of an existing bridge.
It's
Structure.
it is going to be widened. The bridge itself is gonna
Widening
be
for
replaced.
multimodal.
Correct, yeah.
Does anybody else have any comment on this cost estimate that we're seeing? Oh, okay, James.
One more question.
Absolutely.
Where's the extra money coming from exactly?
Mhm.
Where is that being taken from, or how is it being absorbed?
So in the backup, you'll see the different funding codes, and we provide a summary of the funding codes used, and there's descriptions. Looking at them, a lot of them are the bridge funds, so anything with the BR on it. ACBR, which is Advanced Bridge Construction, General Fund BR. Those are all bridge related. So looks like the bulk of them are bridge funds. It does look like they have additional state funds on there as well.
Is the bike lane protected
I
Or-
know.
or is it buffered?
So
Sorry.
they are matching it. They are widening it based on the other needs that the US 1 corridor are having in that
Mhm.
area. So it should be consistent through the corridor. Is it separated across the bridge? I forgot what the typical is. Do you know what the typical is?
I don't think so.
Side path?
I don't think it is.
So it's gonna be like a shared use path? Okay, shared use path.
Oh,
So
shared
it would
use
be a
path.
separated facility there. So at least 10 foot, you said 11 foot? Oh, wait,
11 feet.
our PR team.
Yeah, 11
has
feet for
indicated-
$11 million. So let's go. So Lily, you have a comment on this project?
It's on.
Okay,
Cool.
I just, sorry. I just had a question on, for the environmental changing cost, is that just money that they can't put that way anymore, or?
Mhm, the reduction there, I'm not
Yeah.
sure what the cause for that reduction is, going from $9,700 to $250.
Okay,
I'm unsure of what the change was there,
sure, cool.
how it got phased as environmental, yeah.
Yeah, just wondering the impact of that.
Mark, do you have any more comments on this? Okay, I think we're at the end of our discussion. I guess, is there a motion to support this particular project?
So moved.
Okay, Paul Ryan, may I have a second?
Second,
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
All
Nay.
those opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Next item is the motion to recommend adoption for the fiscal year, the next year, 24 to 28, tip.
Thank you. And regarding the last item, just for follow-up, we'll make sure we get those comments and your questions to the product manager. And so they'll be presenting to PSAC tomorrow, and then the governing board is next Thursday. So they'll have those questions and the thoughts. So if they come up, then, or if I get responses, I'll make sure I update you next meeting. So this next one is the upcoming tip. This is fiscal year 2024 to 2028. And so this is the second reading. So the final reading of this one. This is a lighter presentation than last time. It's the same slides mostly, with a few updates. Just a shorter one. So I took out a lot of slides, but this is up for adoption at the governing board meeting next week. And then it would be going into effect by federal fiscal year of October 1. Okay. So the Transportation Improvement Program is the listing of projects with federal and state funding sources over the next 5 years for Palm Beach County. Each metropolitan planning organization, that's what we are, in the state has one of these, and it's consistent with the state's work program. So we all have a tip. And the next ones are going to be covering 2024 through 2028. And we had a question last time, it might have been Mr. Bonfiglio, about how many of these years are committed for funding. So looking that up, it all gets approved by the legislature. The first year in this program, the fiscal year 2024, is the one that has the spending authority, right? So they have the spending authority for fiscal year 2024. And then they have to showcase a balanced budget for the legislature from 24 to 26. But then the grand scheme of things for the tip, it is a balanced one all the way out for 5 years. But the requirement is the first 3 years for the legislature, and that first year is the one with spending authority. So just a side one, and I wanted to make sure I answered your question on that one. So how did we get to this point in the process for the tip? A lot of the work here at the TPA and what you all see are different versions of this moving through the process. You know, we're currently in fiscal year 2023, the 2027. This is the 24th to 28. And really, you'll see a lot of documents throughout the process to get to this point of where we are today. It starts with our long-range transportation plan. Right now, we're operating at the 2045 LRTP. From that, we have our list of products in there that come into our priority list. We also have our funding programs of state roads, local initiatives, and transportation alternatives. That's through our list of priority projects. That is seen by you all and then adopted by the governing board. That was adopted in July of 2022. So that sets forth what our priorities are for the next 5 years and beyond. And then with that list, AFDOT has updated statewide revenue projections, and they have updated costs, and they're trying to balance their work program. And with that work program, that's how we build the final tip. So what you're seeing today is the second reading of the final tip, which is based off of and consistent with the work program that AFDOT has statewide. And the summary of what we're seeing for Palm Beach County, $3.1 billion in federal and state funding going into our county. Here in this graphic, these bar charts, you're seeing these federal, state, turnpike funds, and then local funds towards all of our programs in the tip. We break them down into different sections. That big one you see at the top, which has over $1 billion in investment, that's the strategic intermodal system, and that's our capacity projects, right? So lots of turnpike projects coming in, widenings throughout the entirety of Palm Beach County over the next 5 years. Major I-95 interchange projects, Beeline Highway, that's all in that line item there. And then the next three are state road modifications, local initiatives, and transportation alternatives. Those are the TPA priorities that we invest money in over the next 5 years. And then we get into other ones with our other projects, major maintenance and operations of both roadways and transit. There's a lot on this screen about projects that are in our LTP and then moving into our TIP. But we updated this in our TIP document as well. It's an executive summary. And what it's really just trying to display is how many do we have in our LRTP and how are they progressing along? Are we sort of meeting our targets when it comes to all of our priorities in our LRTP? It does take some time to get through these to different phases and get them programmed and constructed, but a few highlights since adoption of our 2045 LRTP, which occurred in December of 2019. We have also prioritized 15 state road projects, 19 local initiatives projects, and 15 transportation alternatives projects. And a summary of the upcoming 5 years for TPA priorities. So again, the state roads, local initiatives, and transportation alternatives, $235 million invested for those. The bulk of that, $103 million, are some bigger capacity projects that we have on State Road 7 and Atlantic Avenue. And there's a few more of those to come into the future as well in the next versions of the TIP. But $103 million towards that. Those also include pedestrian bicycle facilities on those both those corridors. And then many of the other products that are submitted to us and that we prioritize at the TPA are non-motorized products. So a lot of pedestrian bicycle facilities, standalone products for those, $84 million invested towards that. And then Tri-Rail rolling stock. We have $13 million invested towards Tri-Rail rolling stock. They've also just won a federal grant for more rolling stock replacements as well. So millions of dollars towards that, which is going to be 1/3 of their rolling stock replaced just through that grant. So you're going to see a lot of new vehicles out there for Tri-Rail in the near future. We have lighting safety improvements, and then electric buses and charging stations for Palm Tran, transit shelters for Palm Tran, and traffic signals. And the next 3 slides are the same ones as last time. Just the highlights from the main programs. We talked about State Road 7 in the past, still in the TIP for the southern piece, and then the northern piece is delayed till outside of fiscal year 28. The Atlantic Avenue projects that are moving forward. And then the one that still needs to have construction is the Turnpike to Jog Road section. And then the Okeechobee Boulevard Transit Corridor study that we completed recently. There's the upcoming second version of that, which will be done by FDOT, and that's to assess the feasibility of the alternatives we had for that corridor. So looking at premium transit, light rail, bus rapid transit along Okeechobee from Wellington Mall to downtown West Palm Beach. And then a product that's slowly going through the studies is out in the Glades community. This is US 27 connector, or a connector roadway around Belglade from US 27 to State Road 715. And there has been already some movement on that with the study, but some more study being done in fiscal year 27 by FDOT.
Madam Chair.
Yes, should we give him an opportunity to
actually,
conclude the presentation first?
Yeah, I think I only have 2 more slides, so then we'll be
Okay.
quick. Next is local initiatives. So 3 upcoming in 24 for construction. We have additional 6 that have not been programmed yet. They are prioritized in our list of priority products. We're looking to get those funded in the near future and next versions of the TIP. And then for transportation alternatives, these are the projects that go towards more non-motorized pedestrian bicycle facilities. We've got 4 projects coming up in fiscal year 2024. And then we added 4 new projects in fiscal year 2026 for construction. And this is my final slide. So all this is still available on the website. It's going to be up for adoption at the governing board meeting next Thursday. But on the website, you can see the map, the full document, and we also have appendices that have been updated with more of a fiscal analysis, performance measures, and public participation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sammy, do you have a comment or a question for Andrew?
I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but I think it was a light rail project or a transportation project that was a connector between outlet of, I think, the Wellington area and downtown West Palm or something like that. Was that in that?
Yes, it's a Okeechobee corridor study, 18-1C on screen.
Okay. I didn't see it. The slide went pretty fast, so thanks.
Yep, and just for more information on that one,
Mhm.
right? So the study's been complete. And then this is that next phase of feasibility. So since it's an FDOT facility, they're going to assess it and see if it's feasible as an alternative out there.
Okay. And I have a couple other questions, but I can get with you offline about that.
Okay, Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, just a question about Atlantic Avenue widening from State Road 7. I get asked the question all the time. So what's I know they're talking about 2024 starting it. Do they have an estimate in 24 when they're supposed to start and when they're supposed to finish that one by any chance?
I can look it up for you and I'll try to get you an answer before the end of this meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Does anybody else have comments? Sammy, do you have any other comments or a question about the tip? Okay. All right, do you have any virtual comments?
No, and no public comments as well.
Okay, perfect. Because this is an action item, we do need to take action. And can I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. So we're gonna go ahead and move to item 3, and we'll circle back with your question, Jim. An information item on the 2050 LRTP, goals and objectives. Nathan?
Good afternoon, everybody. Nathan George, I am the Long Range Transportation Plan Coordinator here at TPA. You may recognize me. I recognize most of you, but for anybody who wasn't at our kickoff, wanted to introduce myself. So I'm here today to talk with you about our goals and objectives. So this is a very brief presentation highlighting some considerations you may want to have in mind as you look at the information that was included in the meeting packet. And I don't have control.
Sure.
There we go. So we're working on a 2-year process. This is where we're at, the first major milestone, establishing our goals and objectives in the spring, and we'll be working towards a plan adoption late next year. So we just wanted to give you a quick reminder of where we sit in that process. Why are we talking about goals and objectives? This is really a process that is required to us. It's goals and objectives as part of the required performance-based planning approach in federal legislation in the transportation bill. So that's why we need to establish our goals, objectives, and our performance measures. We're here today just to talk about the early part of that, the goals and objectives, and we'll be revisiting performance measures. I'll touch on that in a minute. One of the other areas that's really important is to make sure that we're demonstrating consistency with both what the Fed expects of a plan like this and also consistency with the state and this Florida Transportation Plan. So that's another outcome of this process, is to demonstrate that consistency. TPA's goals and objectives at the kickoff, I mentioned this. I'm going to just reinforce what I said last time. The 2045 plan included goals, the 5 goals that make up our vision statement. We are a safe, efficient, connected, multimodal transportation system. So those 5 words that are in our agency vision statement really make up the 5 goals that inform this plan. And you'll see as you look through the documentation, how we're trying to take steps to accomplish those goals. This was staff-driven, working in close partnership with our consultant partners at Kimley Horn to develop the draft goals and objectives that you see today. And the real focus was we have these really clear goals, but to identify a framework for how do we outline our objectives and how are we going to get things done. So I established this framework to help us measure our conversations around this language. So identifying with each of these things what they mean. So our goal is a desired outcome. That's pretty clear. We don't have to put too much thought to that. It gets a little more complicated when we start talking about what falls under it. So objectives are the things that we're doing. So what are those actions that we are hoping to take? A strategy is how we're going to do it. So a little bit more fine-grained detail of how we're going to accomplish our objectives in support of our goals, and then measures, which we'll get into later, is how we're going to evaluate our process. So this is the framework that we're applying to the language that fits into these goals and objectives, trying to build a little bit more clear approach for how we're going to apply the goals and objectives when we start looking at things like project scoring and how our plan is in alignment with our vision for this region. So to put that into practical terms, here's one example from the report. So in this case, I pulled out the multimodal goal. So our objective, what are we doing? We're going to develop a transportation system that improves regional accessibility. And I'm not going to read through this whole slide, just want to give you an idea for how these terms in the preceding slide fit. So what are we doing? And then how are we going to do it? So We're going to identify and prioritize projects that increase commuter mode split, the second bullet. So it's how do these words feed up to ultimately accomplishing the goal is the intent of this framework. And that's how I hope it would help explain as you review the draft and provide your input. You have a framework to sort of measure your input so we can hopefully arrive at consensus about what this goal and objective should look like in the end. I promised you this is a short presentation, so we're here to seek your feedback. The draft goals and objectives document is 11 pages, is included in your meeting packet. It has 5 pages, one for each of the goal areas. A lot of the other documentation is going to inform the report, but also is still meaningful for your review. But I want to promise you that this conversation doesn't end today. It's not, if you miss this opportunity, that you can't provide input. We are here to listen. This is a process that we'll be continuing to refine as we talk with our committees, potentially get input from board members. So certainly, if you feel the need to provide additional input after today, please reach out to me. My contact information is here, phone and email. Be happy to set up meetings with anybody who wants to provide additional input. And we also want to highlight for everybody a performance measures and targets workshop that we'll be hosting August 17th in the morning from 9 to 11. It was really an outcome of the federal performance measures and target setting process that we went through earlier this year, that some of you may remember. And so we're going to have a discussion about federal performance measures early in that workshop, and then come back to revisit the performance measures and targets discussion as part of the LRTP effort. So we certainly would like to receive input as early as possible so we can incorporate your input and resynthesize any changes to this draft language, and then have a more robust discussion about this with a refined goals and objectives at that point in August. That concludes the presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions, and I am joined by Stuart Robertson from Kimley Horn, who will assist me with answering questions.
Okay, Paula Ryan, so your card up?
Thank you. I just had a question about this last legislative session. Was there anything that happened that will impact the Florida DOT and the track you've been on and the work that you're doing? Are you still unencumbered by anything new?
I would have to get back to you. I know there have been some changes in the legislative session. I've seen a few that impact MPOAC sent us an email about changes in, MPO tracking of long-term performance that did come through the legislative session. I don't fully understand what the impacts are because it's more to another governing body. But certainly there could be additional impacts that I'm not personally familiar with. And I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Andrew. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments? Sammy? Do you mind putting your card down? Yeah, no problem. Okay, James?
Yeah, just a question. When you had that slide on the workshop, you had the date and the time. No address. I assume it's here.
Yes, the plan is to host here in this room.
Great, thank
And
you.
we'll be posting details soon. They're forthcoming.
Would this be posted online as well?
It has a virtual option, yes.
Okay, there'll be
But we'll
virtual.
call it hybrid.
options. Okay. Do we have any comments virtually on this item?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, this is an information item. I don't think we have any comments on the goals and objectives, so that's it.
I appreciate your
you.
time. Thank you.
Okay, so the next are administrative items. And I guess our next scheduled meeting is not July 5th, right? Or July 5th?
Mhm.
Right after 4th of July?
Yep.
Okay. That week, yeah, so I think let's pencil that in.
Okay.
Does anybody want to request your excuse absent?
How are we looking for, like, show of hands, maybe, if you want to see who's going to be able to
I
be here?
move to reconsider the July 5 date for the next meeting.
Okay, so it sounds like you all may be busy.
James, okay,
Oh,
okay, James and Jim are out of town.
hold on real quick. Can Andrew or staff recommend, like, will there be action items on that agenda first? Or do we not know
We
yet?
don't
There'll be-
know.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have I can look real quickly. There'll be action items.
Okay, so we'll have to have a quorum to vote. Most
To
likely.
officially vote, yes. If not, it would be a recommendation by, I forgot the name, the term, but it would still have a recommendation go to the board. This wouldn't be a full
Okay.
recommendation.
So if there is a quorum, then that means we probably do have to have a July meeting.
Yeah, I believe that we will have very low attendance on the day after 4th of July. So I also will not be available, so I would like to request my excuse absence. But
Okay.
you know, maybe we want to consider, can it be deferred by a week or?
We'll look at some options and see.
Yeah,
what we can do.
let's table this discussion and we'll if everybody can help help the TPA staff by kindly just sending an email before the end of the week saying that if you're going to be available on this particular date or not.
That'd be ideal. Yep. Great.
Okay. All right,
Madam
thank-
Chair, we do have an update for the Atlantic Avenue State Road 7 project.
Okay,
Looks like the notice proceed is April 2024. So that notice proceed, I guess we would expect construction to start a few months after that. So getting into summer of 2024, and the website still shows fall of 2027 as being complete. And then in the backup with all these administrative items, if you want us to present, we can on those. You'll see the scheduling report that gives you the next 90 days of phases that are going to occur. We have a full scheduling report that has every single phase at every date, but we just show 90 days to not make it cumbersome in the backup. And then the other items are in there that we can answer questions on.
all right. Thank you. Paula, all right, do you have a?
I do.
comment?
I have a question about the pedestrian bicycle crash report that's in this package. Nowhere in there do we address any of the train crossing accidents or fatalities.
Mhm.
Do we capture that in another document somewhere or something that we can look at together? I mean, we just did have another one that, was bad.
Sure. Valentina's in the room. She is. Okay. Valentina's going to come up and she's one of the ones who works on that report. The data we get from the state when it comes to crashes is only vehicle and pedestrian crashes, but our staff does pull the railroad crashes as well from the FRA. So I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, it's exactly what Andrew said. This is Valentina Ficus, pet bike coordinator. We do pull the rail crossings from the FRA website.
Are they in that report that you just
Yes,
listed?
they are in that report. Yep.
Is it listed as something separate or just part of the total overall numbers?
It's part of all of the numbers, and you should also see it on that table. I don't remember what page it is, but
59.
And this is the one from
it's on there.
October to December?
Right.
That one is for Q4, but we also have it included at the very end for the 2022 summary and for the 5-year summary as well.
Great. How we doing? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess this is it. Meeting's adjourned.
All right.
See everybody in August.